Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you
Assalam
for coming to my house. And Sheikh, I want to thank you for coming in and really helping us on learning how to raise our children.
We would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity. Barakallahu feek. May Allah bless you and your family.
Ameen.
It was so great.
Shukran. I appreciate you being here, and you brothers.
Thank you for
educational setting, mashallah.
Ya Sheikh, what about teaching our children the biographies of great Muslim leaders? Teaching them the stories of people who have led the Ummah to victories and to great ways of life when they were children, and how their childhood affected their adulthood.
As a matter of fact, this is one of the most important ways of tarbiyah and upbringing the children to be leaders. That's very, very inspiring. To relate to your children the biographies of successful people, how they were when they were children.
Oh, like the biography of Abdul Malik ibn Umar ibn Abdul Aziz.
Abdul Malik, Abdul Malik was the son of Sayyidina Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. He was a young boy, and his father was appointed to be the Khalifa. He was elected, and as soon as he became the Khalifa, they finished burying his the previous Khalifa, Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. And he was extremely tired, so he was going to take a nap. So Abdul Malik, the young boy, addressed his father saying that, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to rest. He said, what about al-Madhalim? Al-Madhalim referring to all the wrongdoings which have happened before in the previous Khilafah, that he should take care of all of that. He said, well, when I rest, he said, what if you die before you take care of them?
Yeah.
So, a child bringing this thought to the mind of the Khalifa. And who was the Khalifa? Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. No. So Umar ibn Abdul Aziz did not sleep. Rather, he got up and said, Alhamdulillah. He thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah made from his family members his son, from his offspring, one who assists him to be a better Muslim, to perfect his deen. Alhamdulillah, الذي جعل من ذريتي من يعينني على ديني. So sharing those situations with the children will inspire them to become outspoken leaders and successful in their life.
Like the story also of Ismail and Ibrahim.
Yeah, I'm talking about obedience and compliance. That this story of Sayyidina Ismail, the sacrifice actually, or al-dhabih, can be related over and over and over at different ages. Beginning at the age of 6 and 7, then ending at the age 70, 80, 90. It's so many lessons, infinite lessons in this story. So now we're talking about the child and compliance with even the thoughts of the father, especially once you know that the father is a righteous man and he's obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you trust him, you trust his commands, that he's not going to ask you to do something that's wrong.
Yeah. What kind of impact would this have on our kids? Teaching them these stories, relating to them these biographies, telling them about these righteous, pious people when they were children.
The impact can be so great as changing the way of history, changing the history. As a matter of fact...
Yeah, I know the story of the two grandsons of the Prophet ﷺ, Hassan and Hussein, when they taught an old man how to perform properly.
This is one on an individual basis. Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein, the grandsons of the Prophet ﷺ, they were young. And they saw an older person perform in wudu. But he was not doing it properly. So there is always an easy way and a shortcut. What is this? Shame on you. You're an old man and you don't know how to do wudu. Especially, they were the grandsons of the Prophet ﷺ. They were taught by him directly. The great teacher. How lucky they were. May Allah be pleased with them. So instead, since they were taught and raised by the Prophet ﷺ and his daughter, and of course Ali ibn Abi Talib, they looked at each other, they understood, the language. So one of them said to him, Ya Am, me and my brother have a problem, and we would like to perform wudu before you so that you check on which one of us performs a better wudu.
Yeah.
And I just want you to imagine that Al-Hassan is performing wudu the same way that the Prophet ﷺ used to do. Then when it was Al-Hussein's turn, he did the same. So the older man realized that. He said, Barakallahu fikuma. May Allah bless you. I realized that I was the one who was wrong. So taking a part in even correcting older people can be done, but the manner is very, very important. You can inspire your children through the story, the incident of Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein. Back to your question about the impact, and I say that it's a great impact. Do you know that Al-Qustantiniya, which translates in English as Constantine?
Constantinople.
Constantinople. No. The capital of the Byzantine Empire. That there was a person by the name Muhammad al-Fatih. His father was the Sultan, Murad. Muhammad al-Fatih was a student. His religious teacher would accompany him and take him in a tour to the shore where he would be able to see the high wall and the fence of Al-Qustantiniya. Then he kept relating to him a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ has said, son, you see this wall? This is the wall of Al-Qustantiniya, which the Prophet ﷺ has said to us that لا تفتحن القسطنطينية, certainly you will conquer Al-Qustantiniya. And he said ﷺ furthermore that فَلَنِعْمَ الْجَيْشُ جَيْشُهَا وَلَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ أَمِيرُهُم, and how excellent will be the army which will conquer Al-Qustantiniya, and how excellent will be their leader. So this young boy kept the thought ringing in his mind that, you know, the Prophet ﷺ praised the man who's going to lead an army to conquer Al-Qustantiniya, which was causing a lot of trouble for Muslims. And so many Muslim leaders before, they tried, including Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, but it was so strong to defeat. At the age of 23, Muhammad al-Fatih led an army and opened and conquered Al-Qustantiniya. He simply, when he took over, he sent a message to the Byzantine Emperor, Constantine, saying that, give it up, man. So he refused. He said, well, soon I will have in Al-Qustantiniya either one of two, either a throne or a grave.
Yeah.
And he indeed did. And he have a arsh or a throne in Al-Qustantiniya. And this is all because of sharing the biography and the very influencing stories of the previous ones on the children, you know. So that many people, as a matter of fact, many parents are reluctant to share stories like that with their children. They assume, because they assume that, you know, it's not possible that my kids are going to be leaders one day. They underestimate their children.
Yeah.
They underestimate them. They can't imagine that my child could be one day Salahuddin, who's going to open Jerusalem and recover it back.
When my child Abdullah was born, my son, I made dua to Allah that he would be the one that opened Al-Quds, that opened Jerusalem back for the Muslims.
Barakallahu fika, Ismail. You know, that should be the thought and the concern of every parent.
Yeah.
That you prepare your child to be a leader. You know Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan? No. Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan, when he was a child, there was some signs of intelligence in him. So a lady saw him and she said to his mom that I expect your child to be the leader of his people, of his tribe.
Yeah.
Do you know what the mom said? Hind, Abu Sufyan's wife. Do you know what did she say? She said, ثَكِلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ إِن لَمْ يَقُدْ إِلَّا قَوْمَهُ. May I lose him if he's going to be only the leader of his people. She was looking
to be the leader of the whole world.
For a greater hope, to be a leader of mankind, to be the Khalifa, which he was, which he became later on. So you can participate in formulating the future of your child by encouraging him to speak out whenever it is right, and to speak out with wisdom, and to allow the children to share conversation with adults, and to share with them the biographies of the successful Muslim leaders as how they were when they were children.
Children can be a great inspiration for adults. I remember when I was sending my children to Islamic school, and they were going to school. I myself was not a practicing Muslim, but I see it important to send them to school. They would come back and ask me Islamic questions, and I cannot answer them. And this is what inspired me, and I myself, alhamdulillah, have become a practicing Muslim. And I recall you, Brother Ismail, was talking about two little kids who inspire.
In Wisconsin,
Yeah.
there's an Egyptian family that lives in Wisconsin, and they have two little boys, two little twins that are 5 years old. So they hired a nanny, and she was an American lady to be the nanny. And the little kids started to talk to her about Islam. Who is Allah? Who is this? She's like, I don't know. But she became interested in it. And within 3 months, she had taken her shahada because of two little boys talking to her about Islam.
So the da'iyah child, or the child da'iyah, You know, this is exactly what Luqman was advising his son. وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. You know, it's a shame that many parents, number one, underestimate the capability of their children. And number two, that they're afraid to inspire them to be leaders because they're afraid that, you know, if they become leaders and if they try to change what's wrong, they might
not be successful.
They might lose their life, they might lose their freedom, you know. But this is not the case. Salahuddin al-Ayyubi was once seen, everybody was laughing except him. What is the matter? He said, how can I laugh while al-Aqsa, al-Masjid al-Aqsa, is under siege. It's been captured by the Crusades. And he did not rest until he liberated al-Masjid al-Aqsa.
The thing I like about Salahuddin al-Ayyubi was he said, I can't go to Al-Aqsa until I destroy the Umayyads, until I destroy the evil empire of the Umayyads. And then he went and destroyed them, and then he realized that he could get Al-Aqsa free. So he was also thinking smart all the time.
Why not? Why not? Every mother prays that when she has an embryo in her womb, that may Allah make my son Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. May Allah make my son Khalid ibn al-Walid. May Allah make my son Muhammad al-Fatih. Why not? Why not every parent hope and pray that his child will achieve what we couldn't achieve? That we have hope in our next generation that they can change the fact of the Muslim Ummah now of weakness and humiliation. Why not? Until when shall we wait for Al-Mahdi al-Muntadhar? Yeah, it's coming. But, you know, every parent should hope that his son could be Al-Mahdi, or as good as Al-Mahdi.
So we have to use these stories to influence our children.
And that can be done by the biographies of
be the next Ibn Taymiyyah, or the next...
Or Al-Imam al-Nawawi, Al-Shafi'i, you know.
Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, these great leaders.
You know, I would really, really, from the bottom of my heart, pray for all the Muslim Ummah to understand that, you know, having children is not an easy thing. Having children, one time while I was giving a khutbah, that somebody said that, you know, having a child is like having a Mercedes. Maintenance. He was talking about the expenses.
Maintenance is costly.
People do not realize it's not only the
don't say that. I'm going to get this mosquito.
Not again.
I'm going to get it. Isn't it true that a child once brought dawah to a whole nation?
Well, talking about the family in Denver and, you know, giving da'wah to their nanny and so on. This is very interesting. It's also in the Quran that a child gave da'wah to a whole nation. He was a reason for a whole nation to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The story of the shell and the king.
Exactly, the boy and the king. Surah
Al-Buruj.
Al-Buruj. You know, this is one of the reasons would make a child really love to memorize the surah, because there is a reason. There is a story behind it. So you relate the story first, and the child will be obsessed with the love of the surah. So that will make the job a lot easier. You know? So actually it talks about a king who had a sorcerer. When the sorcerer was about to die and getting old, he asked the king to elect an intelligent child to teach him sorcery and so on, to assist the king. So they brought him a child. When the child was going to take the classes in sorcery and so on the way, he noticed that there was a scholar, a righteous person. So he used to spend some time with him. He was a believer, but he was afraid that he would declare his identity and talk to people, otherwise the king would just kill him and get rid of him. So he started teaching him. And one day, the child, as he was going to the sorcerer realized that he was late. So he beat him. And because he had to spend time with the scholar, with the righteous man. So whenever he would go to the sorcerer, he would tell him that the king kept me late, or my family kept me late. And whenever he would go to the family, he would say that the sorcerer kept me late, just to spend some more time with the scholar to, you know, grasp on more and more knowledge and righteousness of this righteous man. One day, the child now was kind of, you know, in between. Now he's learning sorcery. Meanwhile, he's learning righteousness, belief, and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While he was walking one day, he saw a crowd. Because actually there was a beast, an animal which they have not seen before. And it was blocking the road of the people. They tried to move it away so that they can go to the business. They couldn't. So the child was there and said, now I will find out which one is teaching me the right thing. So he tried some sorcery tricks which didn't work out. Then he picked up a rock and he said, in the name of Allah, the Lord of the righteous man. So the beast ran away. So people seeing that, they applauded his action and they greeted him and congratulated him. And his name was everywhere now. When the righteous man learned what happened with the young boy, he said, man, you have reached a status which I have not reached, and you're going to be tried. You're going to be tested. You know, the Prophet ﷺ says that everyone is tested, and everyone will be tested, and the most severely tested people are
the prophets.
The prophets. So the more you acquire righteousness, the more you expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to verify your strength of faith and give you some test. So actually that happened. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the boy an ability of curing people and making things by the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's able to do all things. So once one of the advisors of the king was born blind. He heard of that. So he went to the boy and said that, I brought you all those gifts and all the money you want if you cure me and give me my sight back. He said, well, I do not give nobody's sight back. It's Allah. If you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we pray to Allah to give you your sight back, He will. So having no choice and having a situation where that if he believes in whatever, that He will give him his sight back, he said, sure. So the first one to accept Islam was this advisor, just to get his sight back. And the boy prayed for him, and Allah gave him his sight back. And it was a miracle. Now he's attending the meeting with the king while he's able to see. So the king said, who gave you your sight back? So he said, Allah. He said, I didn't. Because the king actually used to claim that he's God. He said, I didn't do anything. He said, no, you're not Allah. Rabbi wa Rabbuk Allah. My Lord and yours is Allah. Then that man was tried and he was tortured until he confessed, and he informed the king about the young boy. So the young boy was brought to the king's court, and the king said to him that, you have become very good in sorcery. He said, no, I do not do anything with sorcery. You cure people, you do this. He said, it's all by the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, I did not order you to do anything. He said, Rabbi wa Rabbuk Allah. My Lord and yours is Allah. You know, you're just a human being. You're just one of Allah's creation. So at that, the king had to get rid of him as soon as possible before the news will spread and just
destroy his
kingdom. So he sent a troop of his soldiers with him to a mountain so that they can get rid of him and throw him off the mountain. And on the top of the mountain, they offered him, would you believe in the king or we'll just throw you? So he said, oh Allah, save me from them with whichever way you like. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shook the mountain vigorously. Everybody fell and everybody died except the boy was saved. Well, somebody would expect, sharing this story with your children and say, then what did he do? Did he run away? Did he hide since he was saved? No. Well, isn't it better than Superman and Batman? So the boy actually went ahead and he walked all the way to the king's palace. And he entered his palace.
It's bravery.
With courage. Everybody died and he just coming by himself.
He was making da'wah with the king.
So he said, what happened to your company? He said, they all died. Allah killed them. I didn't. You're not Allah. You don't get it.
Still not understand that point.
So once again, he sent another troop with him so that they take him in a boat. And in the middle of the sea, they will drown him. They will tie him to a big rock and they will drown him. So they offered him while he was on board that, would you review yourself and believe in the king and as his God and come back to your senses, or we'll just drown you? So he prayed, oh Allah, save me from them with whichever way you desire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent severe wind which caused high waves to flip over the ship. And everybody was drowned except the boy was saved. And he came walking once again to the king. Just imagine relating this story to your children, even to adults.
And their eyes get big and they're
Its
happy.
impact on strengthening faith. And you can link this to the hadith which we talked about in the past, when the Prophet ﷺ was teaching Abdullah ibn Abbas, wa'alam, and be certain that, get to know that, be certain that if all mankind gather together to harm you with anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not decree for you, they will not. It's as simple as that. Meanwhile, if all mankind got together to benefit you with anything that the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah did not decree for you, did not decide for you, you will never be able to get it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the controller of all affairs. You have to have faith in Him. So if you are in need, like the boy, he did not call on the righteous man. He did not use sorcery. He called on Allah. Ya Allah, save me from them.
He called on the real superpower.
Exactly, yes. The real superpower. Because we keep hearing superpower, diverting the attention of ourselves and our children from the true superpower, which is Creator. So Allah saved him once again, and he walked to the palace of the king. And the king didn't know what to do with him. I mean, he got out of, He
tried to kill you twice and you're still alive.
Exactly. So he said, you will never be able to kill me, the boy said to the king, except if you do what I order you to do. He said, what? The king is trying to get rid of the child by every means. So he said, gather everybody in a big square, and I will instruct you what to do. So he did. He gathered everybody, all the citizens, in one place. Then he said, put me on a tree and grab hold of an arrow pointed here and say, in the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy, you will be able to kill me. So he tried. Imagine, the boy is trying to achieve a very important goal. His life is nothing comparing to the achievement which he's trying to achieve. Da'wah, calling people to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making them acknowledge the fact that the king is nothing. He's a human like you. He can't kill me. And the only way to kill me is
in the name of my Lord.
In the name of the Lord, the real Lord. So he did, which he tried to kill him, and he shot at him, but without saying in the name of Allah. He missed. So he whispered to him and said, it didn't work out. He said, well, because you didn't fulfill the condition. You have to say it out loud, and everybody have to hear you in the name of Allah. So he did this time. The boy died, and mission was accomplished. But not the king's mission, the boy's mission. Because everybody, all the audience and the viewers realized that the king is nothing, and he could not do anything without asking the help of the true Lord. So everybody at once said that we believe in the Lord of the boy. They have not seen him, they don't know him, but now the concept of faith came to their mind. The king lost it, and he gathered his army, and he dug ditches and trenches, filled them with fire, ordered his soldiers to throw in fire everyone who does not believe in the king, everyone who would not come back to his old religion, believing in him as God. He almost got rid of everyone. But the thing is, they died as
martyrs,
and as believers. It's just beautiful that a child was the reason for the guidance of a whole nation.
2 children guided that day. The baby who spoke to his mother.
Yes, exactly. The continuation of the story, of course, there was a mother whose all her children were thrown except for a baby whom she was, nursing, breastfeeding. It's too young, so that she was reluctant. She had a second thought. So the child, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, enabled him to speak in the cradle and said to his mother, Ya Ummah, don't you worry, you are on the truth. So she jumped. And actually those who jumped in it and who were thrown in fire actually ended up in paradise, So it is very, very, very important to share those important incidents, stories and biographies with our children, to inspire them to be successful in their life and to inspire them to be leaders in the future.
And they inspire us. They inspire us to be better Muslims ourselves and to have better faith ourselves.
Osama ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, he was under 10 years old.
He was the leader of
and he wanted to join the Prophet ﷺ on one of the battles. So he returned him. He said, "You're too young." He cried 3 times. He came to the Prophet ﷺ. Finally, the Prophet ﷺ approved him to help the injured ones. You know, not to be on a battlefield, just to help the injured ones.
Yeah.
At the age of 18, the Prophet ﷺ assigned Usama to be the leader of the Muslim army,
Yeah.
the commander of a chief. And who was in this army? Umar ibn Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan.
The senior companions.
Yeah.
I'm going to go check on the food, because I think it's getting close to time to eat, to make sure we're going to have some food, because that's why you're here. So I'll be right back.
Inshallah. Knowledge also.
Oh, that too. Yeah, because my wife can cook, but the knowledge is good also. So I'll be back, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek.